Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Poems with PJ. It's our 8th day, day 8. Welcome, and we're really impressed today and really excited because earlier today we're really pleased. All of our previous videos that we've had from the last few days, we've reached our 10,000th viewer. Woo! Everybody in the production crew, all 2 of them, are getting excited behind the camera. There's fist bumping and everything. So we're really pleased. So thank you very much for joining us and supporting us. And thank you so much for all of the work that you're sending us as well. We've got to that point at the moment where I'm having to kind of back things up and say, well, I'm going to do this one today and this one tomorrow, maybe this one next week. We've got that many poems coming in, but please do keep sending them our way. And today, as usual, we're going to be doing some of my poems, some poems by some other famous poets, and most importantly, some of your poems as well. Now, the very first one we're going to do is from The Man in the Silly Hat, and it's about a fairy. Okay, now most fairies you've probably seen, because I've noticed that Disney Plus has just arrived, right, and everybody's watching Disney Plus at the moment, and all of the fairies I see on there, they've all got the same sort of hair. It's all like nicely kept hair down here, and they're all twinkly and sparkly, and they're floating around with wings, and they've got sparkly wands. Well, this is a very different kind of fairy, and she's called the Rock Fairy. The Rock Fairy rocks. And she just doesn't care when the rest of the fairy world stops and it stares. Dressed all in black with her hair in a bun, the Rock Fairy rarely goes out in the sun. Her wand doesn't sparkle, her wings made of leather. Her attitude mirrors the darkest of weather. A dark and foreboding tempestuous storm. The Rock Fairy doesn't know how to conform. She does what she does, and she does it with style. A sharp, knowing stare, and a wicked brow raised, and a sharp, knowing smile. Greeting the world with an icicle stare. The Rock Fairy rocks, and she just doesn't care. So there you go, that's the Rock Fairy. And I always like talking about the Rock Fairy because I think it's really good that out there in the fairy world, I should imagine there are fairies that probably go, oh, you know what, I'm not into all this sparkly stuff, but can I still come to all the fairy parties? And the other fairies would be like, yeah, come along, bring it on, right? And she probably doesn't fly around too much. Her wings are made of leather. She probably walks places, but that's okay, right? You can be whatever you want, and you can be whatever size, shape, colour you want in your hairstyle and what you wear, and do whatever you want. All right, and the Rock Fairy does exactly that. She is the best individual fairy there is. Now, talking of being individual, that kind of brings me on to my next poem. And it's a poet that I had the pleasure of meeting just the once. I was really pleased. He's my favourite poet, and he's been my favourite poet ever since I was a little boy. And his name was Roger McGough. And I once got to spend an evening and got to meet him and have a chat to him and saw him doing some performances of his poems. It was one Christmas up at the BBC. It was very exciting. And this is a poem that Roger McGough wrote a few years back now. But it's about me. And it's called Me. It's not about me. He didn't write about me. He was thinking about himself. And he was thinking about all of the things he would be if he was something else. If I were big, I'd want to be sky. If I were little, I'd want to be a small elephant. If I were a muffin, I'd want to be chocolate. If I were ice cream, I'd want to be strawberry or chocolate. If I were a drink, I'd want to be fizzy. If I were a circus, I'd want to be a clown. If I were a summer fair, I'd want to be a bouncy castle. And if I were a band, I'd want to be a drum. If I were a tree, I'd want to be toffee apple. If I were a car, I'd want to be a double-decker bus. If I were water, I'd want to be sea. If I was someone else, I'd want to be me. So there you go. That's the good thing about being someone else, is that you can actually think, yeah, I could be me. And that's really nice to sometimes think about who you are. Sometimes poets do that all the time. They have a look at themselves and think, you know what, who am I? I wonder if I should write down who I am in words. Maybe that's something you could try at home. Things that you're into, things that you're interested in, the things that you like to do, the people you know, the things that make you smile. All of those things you could put into a poem for us and send it here to Poems with PJ. Now that's what some people at home have been doing. And we've had some lovely correspondence from all of you, from letters and emails and things like that. Mickey and Georgie, I'm going to say hello to you. You've been watching for the last few days, and it's lovely because we've seen you leaving messages for us, and it's been lovely as well. Georgie, you've written us a poem today. Now, your dad sent this in to me, and you're 6 years old, so thank you very much, Georgie. And he says, this is Georgie's thoughts about what it's like being at home when we're all stuck in at the moment. And actually, this is like a nice train of thought that sometimes you think of and you go off in other directions. We are stuck in the house. What a dreadful sight. There are boring things to do. We can only have home school instead of fun. We are stuck in the house. So I am things. We are hanging around work. We can only play for 1 minute. Well, that's what Mr. Work would say. Too big, too small full stops. Good versions. We are stuck in the house. But look on the good side. We can go for a ride with your bike or your scooter. We are stuck in the house, but we can play in the garden with your brother or your cousin. So there you go. That was exactly what I was saying before about all those thoughts we have in our head. Sometimes it's easier if we just put them down on a piece of paper and we write them out. And it's lovely that you've done that, Georgie. So thank you so much for sharing it with us. And these words, as we said before, are going to be shared today, like we are at the moment. And we're going to share some of these words as well with some of the people in care homes all across the country, because, of course, they're isolated away from everybody at the moment and can't receive any visitors. So your poem will be heading in their direction, Georgie, later on this week. Now, Noah has also been in contact with us. Hello, Noah. Now, you've written us a really lovely poem, imagining what it must be like being your class if they were imagining doing really weird things, okay? And that's what's nice sometimes, is that when you can make your imagination think, I wonder what would happen if this happened. So he's come up with, and I think these are all people that he probably knows in his class, because he's just called it Class 4A. And I don't know whether that's your real class or whether these are real people, but you've used your imagination really well with this one, Noah. Bob bought a parrot, and Jimmy brought a mouse. Jeff lost his underwear, so instead he wore a blouse. Sam had a chocolate. Joseph had a sweet. Tom hadn't had a shower, so he had smelly feet. Lyra came to school as the captain of a ship. Sarah thought she was a dog and kept barking, yip, yip. Charlie kept on licking the floor. I don't know what she was doing. But Taylor was one much worse than her, because she just kept on pooing. I don't know how to deal with them, with the smallest one so fat. The only thing that they know is how to be a brat. Well, my goodness gracious me, that sounds like a very chaotic classroom. That's not the sort of classroom I would have if I was a teacher. All right, so that's Class 4A. So thank you so much, Noah, for using your imagination and getting those ideas down for us and sending them to us to use on the show. If you've got some poems you'd like to share, send them to pauljenkinspoet@gmail.com, or you can send them through our Facebook page. If you leave us a message on the Facebook page, we'll be able to pick it up and get back to you as soon as possible. Now, I know lots of you every day have been looking at our collection of toys and things that have started appearing in the background. Our dinosaurs and our Olympic mascots from yesterday, dogs and flamingos and unicorns and a frying pan. All sorts of things that are there. And today we have two new animals that are going to be joining us. Two of the same animal. They're taking their time getting to me. They are always taking their time. I would like to introduce you to our two sloths. This is Simon. Say hello, Simon. Yeah, this is Simon. And this is Shannon. Say hello, Shannon. Yeah, she's taking her time. She's doing her thing. Now Simon and Shannon live with us, and we've written a poem all about Simon and Shannon, imagining what it must be like for them in the evenings. Simon and Shannon speak slowly, as Simon and Sharon are sloths. Both of them sat on the sofa till Simon, so tired, dozed off. "Wake up," said our Sharon so sweetly. "We haven't got time for a snooze. We're watching this drama on telly. If you sleep, you will miss all the clues." And they both fell asleep. So that's the tale of Simon and Shannon. Simon and Shannon are going to be joining us up here in our big collection of animals. If you've got some toys or anything like that, maybe you could write some poems for your toys, and then you can send them our way as well. Thank you so much for getting in contact with us, everybody. Please do keep your poems coming. We've got some special things planned in the next few days, and of course we've got loads and loads of poems that we've got now to read out over the next few days. But please keep them coming. It's pauljenkinspoet@gmail.com. If you've enjoyed today, please tell your friends. Please press the share button. Start a watch party. Show it if you're still in contact with your schools. Tag your school friends in and tag your teachers in, so they know to tune in every day at 4 o'clock on the weekdays here at Poems with PJ. We will see you very, very soon. Bye bye.